Hello everybody and welcome to another reaction video, and today we're going to be reacting to a band I have heard of before. It's a band called Cryptopsy. For those of you who don't know who they are, Cryptopsy are a Canadian technical death metal band formed in Montreal, Quebec in 1988, so they've been around for quite a long time. I mean, they first started making music when I was 8 years old. I mean, Christ. Anyway. To date, the band has sold over 300,000 records. Pretty impressive. Fun fact though, the band as it stands right now actually has none of its original founder members in it anymore. However though, the current drummer, one Flo Mounier, I hope I pronounced that right, has been with the band since 1992 and is the longest standing member of the band. Now, the song I'm going to react to is a track called Sire of Sin. And as some of you may know, I try to do a little bit of research into songs and I don't always come up with very much, but this came up with a wealth of information. Sire of Sin is about Ricky Rodriguez, also known as David Ito, and he was a former member of the Children of God cult, or the COG, now known as the Family International, and he committed a murder-suicide in 2005. It goes on to say here, he was sexually abused as a child by his biological mother and her partner, David Berg, who was, at the time, the leader of the Children of God, or the COG. Later in his life, he got away from them. He moved to Tucson, Arizona, where he got married, and he later divorced in 2001. In 2005, he arranged a meeting with a former associate of his mother's, and this woman was also involved with his sexual molestation as a child. Upon meeting her, he stabbed her to death in his apartment. Then he drove all the way to Blythe, California, where he committed suicide by shooting himself in the head. Before committing the murder, he actually posted a video cassette to a friend of his, in which he explained exactly what he had planned on doing. The video arrived, was delivered to his friend a matter of days after the murder-suicide took place, and was immediately released to the public. And in the video he stated that he saw himself as a vigilante, standing up for and avenging other children like himself and his sisters who had been subject to rapes, beating and other various abuses, stating, "There is a need that I have. It's not a want, it's a need for revenge. It's a need for justice, because I cannot go on like this." So it's some quite heavy subject matter going on in the song. So yeah, be interesting to see where this goes. Like I said, I am familiar with the band. I have heard of them before. I've not listened to anything from them in a very, very long time, so I'm not entirely sure what to expect, because I think last time I heard them it was completely different members of the band, so we'll see where this goes. I've been waffling on now for 4 minutes, so I think we'll just get straight into it. I'll put a link to the original video in the description below, and so here we go, Sire of Sin by Cryptopsy.
Sire
immediately goes into it really hard, really heavy, you know, pretty much what you'd expect from this sort of music. And it gets straight into the subject matter as well here. It says, raised as a king, silver spoon-gaped mouth, orgiastic prophecies proclaimed that I, Davidito, would be the heir apparent. Davidito being the name that Ricky Rodriguez went by whilst he was in the cult. Sired through God's hall, obviously talking about his mother, cultivated by father's harem, eagerly filleted, innocent young hands sowing unholy seeds, a ritualistic communion. Revered and idolized, I was immortalized. The sacred scriptures condemned the children of God. So it's gone straight into the fact that he was sexually abused as a child there. And the fact that he was probably told, you know, you're going to be like the equivalent of Jesus, you know, you're gonna eventually take over the Children of God cult, and you're going to be their leader, and this, that, and the other, and you know, all the sexual abuse he was being subjected to is, you know, to prepare him for whatever he was ready for. That's what it seems to be suggesting. It's a pretty grim subject. We'll carry on, see where this goes. It goes further on there. Yeah, my threshold depleted, their ideals beyond sadistic. I then attempt to disassociate myself from the family. So, you know, over time he's sort of gone, you know, this isn't right. You know, they're treating me very strangely, very, very badly. I don't want any part of this. I want to separate myself from them. The family obviously being the Children of God, which was later renamed. I was discovered, beckoned and beseeched to once again don their crown. Wrathful obsessions, retributions of the dam, murder on the horizon. My patience was pristine. So it says, you know, I was discovered, beckoned and beseeched to once again don their crown. So it seems like, you know, he managed to escape from them, but they found him again, possibly when he moved to Tucson. Wrathful obsessions, retribution for the damned, murder on the horizon. My patience was pristine. So he knew he was going to kill someone that was involved with it, and you know, he was biding his time. He was waiting, being patient. And then he goes, maybe fate will smile on me, God of war, God of revenge. Maybe they will grant me happy hunting, we shall see. Finally, a glint of reprieve, an inkling of hope. Inches closer, closer to Mama, closer to closure, inches closer. Now, what that's referring to is when he moved to Tucson, he moved there because he had heard that his mother was there. You know, after he'd managed to escape from their clutches when he was younger, you know, he went out into the world by himself, got away from her, and sort of separated himself from the cult, and he wanted to essentially reconnect with her, to sort of go, like, you know, when he was older, he was like, you know, he wanted to go back to her and go, you know, why did you do this to me? What was the whole point of it? You know, he wanted to find the reason behind, you know, what they did to him. So yeah, it's some very touchy subject matter going on here. We'll carry on. Well, there we go. Again, it carries on with what I was explaining at the beginning here. It says, lips sealed tight, torture may provoke, irrelevant confession, my device unfailed. A few swift jerks, testing its potency, her throat slashed, the frightened, perplexed, guiltless eyes fade out. So this is referring to the woman that he murdered, the friend of his mother's. You know, she's refusing to speak to him, so he's like, torture might provoke a relevant confession. You know, she might, if, you know, I torture her, she might tell me, you know, why this happened. So he says, my device unveiled a few swift jerks, so that's like bringing out the knife and, you know, giving her a couple of stabs, you know, a few swift jerks to testing its potency. Then he slashes her throat and watches as her frightened, confused, yet guiltless eyes, you know, sort of fade away, you know, because she doesn't feel guilty about what she did, you know. That's the thing with these sort of cults, they're so convinced that what they're doing is right, you know, they, no matter what horrible deeds they do, they think they're right. And then it goes on to say, disillusioned in the back seat, cold steel up against my temple, I closed my eyes with such relief, and I squeezed to end the story of Davidito. So it's like disillusioned in the back seat, so sort of like, he didn't find out what he wanted, you know, he sort of, is it really worth carrying on doing what I'm doing? You know, I've murdered someone, I've not got what I needed, I've not gotten the release that I needed. I've not got the answers that I needed. So he's sort of disillusioned, sort of depressed, sort of ready to give up. So he just and popped himself. And then there was a quote at the end. It says, "In some way, some of us are going to be around to see those burn." I don't know where that quote comes from, but it's a good one to end the song on, because, you know, it's relevant to what's being said. Now, as I've always said many times, I like songs with meanings, songs with stories. And, you know, I've covered songs by Skinned, which go into details about serial killers and murderers and stuff like that. And this is along a similar sort of line. And this, excuse me, this sort of thing really interests me. And they've actually gone into quite good detail in the limited time that they've had in the song. So it's a good song, yeah, and well performed, as I would expect. It's pretty much what I remember from when I listened to them years ago. So they've kept pretty close to the original style, even if it isn't the same band members. But yes, it was a good song. Good song. But yeah, I think I'll leave that as it is. If anybody would like to suggest a video for me to react to, then please do so by all means. Drop a comment in the comment section below, or you can send me a message to my new Facebook page, which will also be in the link below, as well as my Instagram as usual. If you've suggested a song and you haven't seen it yet, rest assured it is coming. It's just taking me a while to work through my list. I also want to say that Metalhead React is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose main purpose is to put an end to hate crimes and aid those who are the victims of hate crimes, such as people with alternative lifestyles, whether it be their taste in music, the way they dress, their gender identity, their sexual identity, what have you. Because nobody should be persecuted, tormented, bullied, or even attacked just for being different, daring to be different. If everybody was the same, the world would be an incredibly boring, beige place. Just because someone doesn't fit into what you deem to be normal doesn't make it wrong. And this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is trying to put an end to. You know, that the founding of the charity is a really tragic story. If you don't know it, I do urge you to read up on it. If you want to know more about the charity, there will be a link in the description down below. And they're in no way endorsing me or sponsoring me to do this. It's just a charity that means a great deal to me, and I want to do my part to spread the word of the charity and do what I can to help the charity raise money to further their work to stamp out hatred, prejudice and intolerance everywhere. But thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.